Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday morning, and welcome to this educational presentation, where today I want to talk to you about a simple three-step process to find the big moves. After all, that's what we're really searching for, right? These big, really consistent moves that will enable us to capture a lot of points, regardless of the market and regardless of the time frame. Well, this simple process I'm going to reveal with you today really has the ability to capture these big moves, and it's, as I said earlier, it's extremely simple to apply. For example, let's look at this chart here in CROX, all right? Just with these 4 bars alone, this process would have identified a buy signal right here, and potentially you could have captured 27 points in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Now, when the stock kind of sizzled down and kind of went back into a small little sideways to downward move, the same 3-step process would have identified a sell signal right here, so that potentially you could have captured upwards of 42 points to the downside. So this is what we're going to be talking about today, and we're going to show you how to apply this using our platform, the PTS Primo charting platform that identifies these extreme trends in advance. So welcome once again. My name is Steven Primo, President and Founder of Specialist Trading. If you're new to my webinars, we're all about educating you. In fact, that's our only purpose. We're not here to tell you what we think the market's going to do. I'll never tell anyone what I think the perfect time frame is, or what perfect direction is for when to trade, or what the market's going to be doing next week, because those are all decisions you have to make on your own. I know a lot of our new students say, well, Steve, I haven't been trading long enough, or I don't have enough expertise. That's why I don't make these decisions on my own. Well, that's the service we provide. We provide you with this education and information that enables you to make these decisions. See, I've been trading for 45 years now. Starting this year, it's 45, if you can believe it. And I have seen one thing in my 45 years that stands out amongst the rest, and that is the only traders who are still trading, who are able to really have that longevity, are the ones that make their own trading decisions. They don't go to chat rooms or trading rooms. They don't wait for the earnings to come out. They don't watch all these so-called trading gurus on TV. They simply have a plan in place and they follow it by making their own trading decisions. So this is what our purpose is at Specialist Trading, and hopefully we can get you along those same lines with our courses. Now, before we begin today, I'm going to show you a lot of examples, but please first take a view at our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results using this 3-step process, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. Also, since we are first and foremost an educational company, all examples obviously are strictly for educational purposes only. Now, a lot of students or people that want to become students of ours say, well, Steve, is there any way I can find out more about you or more about your philosophy of trading or your techniques? Sure. Simply follow us on Twitter. There's our handle right there. Every day I post anywhere from 3 to 5 different examples of charts that are strategies or techniques have generated signals on, and also bits of financial wisdom. So there's lots of great free education on a daily basis on our Twitter page. So please feel free to follow us on Twitter. Now remember, if you're new to my presentations, we're a little bit different in that our only goal is simply to educate you. Remember, education is really what's going to make you a consistent trader. Not buying a $20,000 system or taking those courses where you have no idea what it's based off of, no idea how to apply it. You just simply follow along with what the instructor says. We want to put the power back in your hands. The reason is because I was taught this way, and this is what I feel has sustained me now going for 45 years. And what I've learned is that a good mentor does not trade for you. What a good mentor does is that he teaches you how to trade. This is the same specialist edge I was taught over 4 decades ago, and as I just said, has sustained me, and hopefully it will be able to do the same for you. Now, in today's class, remember, this is a class, this is an educational class. There's just a few things before we begin. Firstly, remember to kindly disable all cameras and microphones. This isn't an interactive classroom. This is simply a PowerPoint presentation. And also, if you have questions, please wait till the end to ask. I promise I'll get to each and every one of them, but we don't want to bog down the presentation by stopping each slide and asking a different question. Many times your question is answered on the very next slide. So if you have a question, remember or write it down. I promise I will get to it at the very end. Now, if you want a recording of this, don't worry. Each and every one of you will be sent a link to this recording at the end of today's class. So if you have to leave early or if you're having technical issues, oftentimes if you log off and then log back on again, it will be resolved. But if it isn't, it's most likely your internet connection, but not to worry, you will receive a link to this recording. You can watch it at your own leisure, okay? So once again, disable all cameras and microphones, wait to ask questions, and you'll get a link to this recording. With that stated, let's begin today's presentation. I'd like to start out with a theme, and today's theme is all about trading with the trend. Because believe it or not, it's the gambler's mindset to try and pick tops and bottoms. Think about it. Most traders who pick tops and bottoms really like that action. They want to feel as if they got out at the very top or shorted the very top and got in at the very bottom, right? Now, once again, I've been trading for over 4 decades, and very rarely have I ever done that myself. And I've known very few traders who have done that as well, but they still are able to capture these nice gains. The only people that really try to trade that way have a gambling mindset, and there's nothing wrong with that. The only trouble is if you're a gambler yourself and you ever look at your profit and loss, it's like a roller coaster. It goes straight up, straight down, straight up, straight down. So there's no consistency to your trading. Now, it's a professional mindset to trade with the trend. If you ever look at professional traders or even professional gamblers, they know, as the song goes, when to hold them, when to fold them. They want to be in sync with the trend. If they're out of sync with the trend of their results, then they get out. It's the same way with professional traders. So we want to instill that mindset in you, and we develop this tool, which we really feel will be able to do that perfectly with as little hassle as possible. So let's begin today's educational presentation. We're going to be talking about one of our fairly new tools, but it's just so popular, it's unbelievable. It's the PTS-XT. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, it's an indicator designed to identify extreme trends in advance. This is where it differentiates from other tools we have to identify the trend, because other tools will simply identify the overall trend, and then we have others that will identify the short-term trend. But the PTS-XT, its only job is to identify extreme trends. That's the only time you will see a signal or a setup. So many times you may have to wait for a while if you're following a particular market. Other times you'll see a lot of different setups. It depends if it has all the requirements met for an extreme trend. Now let's look at this example here. It's an older chart of Freeport McMillan. Now this is a weekly chart, but as you can see, there's a really nice extreme trend in place, right? Going basically straight up. The only trouble is most traders will identify this extreme trend after it's too late. Most likely you'll get in towards the high. But what if we could identify somewhere down here at the lower levels, right? This is where we'd like to get in and know that an extreme trend was going to take place. Here's the beauty of the PTS-XT. It will tell you in advance when an extreme uptrend is about to take place, because when it paints a yellow block around the price bars, that's the signal that an extreme trend is just about to take place. So you see, this does not repaint. If you have a yellow bar starting right here, this is the very beginning of that upward move. Now, this will also work to the downside as we look at this older chart of A, B, and B. Once again, an extreme downward move. And by the time we recognize it, it's too late. It's already gone down low enough. Or maybe we're in the stock and we say, gosh, I wish I would have known to get out. Well, if you apply the PTS-XT, it paints now a red block, and that equals an extreme downtrend. Remember, once again, this won't go back and repaint. Once it paints a red block around the first bar, it will continue until it feels that an extreme downtrend is no longer in place. So we know exactly what it will look like. Now, the PTS-XT indicator is based on multiple proprietary indicators and their relationship to one another. Remember, the beauty of applying this is not in knowing how the proprietary indicators are set up or knowing their formula. It's in knowing how to trade it, especially by someone who's been trading it for years. And this is what we teach you in the course. And it's exemplified by its popularity because it's official. The PTS-XT is officially our most popular trading tool amongst all of our students around the world in over 115 countries and in every state in the United States. So let's go over the simple 3-step daily trade process, okay? This is where you're going to identify the top of these big moves. And you can only do this, though, by applying this on our PTS Primo charting platform. It's going to take you to have our platform because we designed this to teach traders how to trade. Remember, first and foremost, we are an educational company. So we know that I can't be sitting next to you 24/7. I'd love to. I'd love to be helping you trade personally. But we did the next best thing. I teamed up with Pro Trader Strategies and developed our own platform, which is really a teaching educational tool so you can check your work to see how you can learn with it. Okay, step one, at or after the close of the trading day, you'll conduct a nightly PTS-XT scan on the platform, okay? So here's the blank page of our platform when you open it up. What you want to do is on the green strategy tab right here at the top of the platform, click on PTS-XT Extreme Trend. And you'll see a drop-down menu like this with all the different features. Just hit scan. Once you click that on, you'll see this page appear. This is our scan page. And it's simple. All you have to do is basically choose the symbols you're interested in. It could be the NASDAQ, S&P 500, Dow, it could be futures, currency pairs, Bitcoin. It could be, markets overseas. It could be Canadian markets. Makes no difference. We have all of that data. Just choose which one you're interested in, load the symbol list, and in about 2 seconds, you'll see it appear in a little spreadsheet here. These are all the stocks or market that you're interested in getting signals for and scanning. And then all you do is hit scan. And in less than a minute or two, you'll see a series of either green or red horizontal bars. The green bars indicate that those are all buy setups currently in the market, and the red ones mean that these are currently sell setups. See how simple that was? That whole process takes you about 30 seconds to do. Now, step two, what you want to do is select stocks to trade that have a bar count of 1. So what exactly does that mean? Well, let's go back to that scanning page here. As you notice on the far right column here, you see it says bar count. What this means is that it tells you how long a signal, in this case buy signals because they're green bars, have been in place according to the amount of bars. Okay, so this would be, as you see, 4 days right here, 3 days. What we want to do is identify the ones with 1 day. So you can sort so that they're all together. And these are the stock signals that have a bar count of 1. Okay, that means they have only been valid for 1 bar for 1 day. And all you have to do is simply go over to the corresponding stocks and see what they are, which leads us to step number 3. Once you look at all these corresponding stocks, you simply trade. Remember, we're trying to put the power back in your own hands. We're giving you the opportunity. We're giving you all of this high probability setups, and then you decide. This is not systematic. This is not a class where you have to trade the same thing that everyone else does. You're in charge of your trading. That's our goal, to make you in charge so that you can make your own trading decisions for the first time and be in charge of your trading destiny. Now, if you see a number of stocks, you say, I'm not interested in any of these, fine, then don't trade. Don't take them. There's always more being generated the next day. Now, one of the things we said at step 1 was at the close or on the close. At the close means that we realize that a lot of people don't want to buy the next day. They figure, like, what if it takes off and gaps up 3 points? I don't want to buy 3 or 4 points higher. So what you can do is, let's say 10, 15 minutes before the close, let's say today you wanted to run a scan. So roughly 15 minutes before the market closes, you run a scan the same way I just explained to you, and you would get the same setups. Most likely in the next 10 or 15 minutes of the close, the setups won't change dramatically. In other words, it won't go from a valid setup to not being valid after all. So you can actually get the signal, and in the last 5 minutes of the day, you can decide to buy or sell according to the setup. Okay, so let's look at this example right here, an FTNT, all right? Once again, doesn't look like much information. We've only got about 6 or 7 bars, but if we ran a scan, we would have seen that this was a bar count of 1. In other words, this day concluded right here. This was the first day of a yellow block being generated around this price bar. So you could have decided, had you taken the scan 15 minutes before the close, to buy in the close, or maybe buy in the opening of the next day. It's up to you, and we teach you different ways in the course. So you would have bought, based off this bar, 22 points in the next 3 weeks, all right? See how simple that is? Just that 3-step process gave you all the information. Remember, in the course, we give you upwards of 6 or 7 different ways to exit, 6 or 7 different ways to enter, and 6 or 7 different ways to place your stop. But right now, we're just trying to share with you the process of how to find these high probability setups, okay? And once again, I see some people are having trouble hearing, or if you're having difficulty, if there's a breakup, most likely it's your own internet connection. Oftentimes, if you log off and log on, it will be repaired. All right, so that's the process. That was it. Let's look at some recent examples using this three-step process. Remember, the only way you can go through this process and to scan is by applying it with the PTS Primo charting platform, okay? We developed it to make trading simple. All right, let's look at this chart here in CTSH, all right? This was at mid to beginning of December, last month, just about a month ago. Someone looking at this would say, Steve, we're looking at 2 bars. How can I make a decision based off 2 bars? That's the beauty of the sensitivity of the PTS-XT, because if you apply it and did a scan the night before or 10 minutes before the close, you would have seen that this was a bar count of 1. It had the very first day of being in a yellow block. So that's your setup to buy, all right? You could either bought on the close if you scan 10 minutes before the close, or bought the next day, it's up to you. And look what happened, 10 points in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Now we realize 10 points, someone may say that's not a lot. Remember, that's roughly about 13% of this stock. What if you were going long Tesla and you made 13% in 2 or 3 weeks? All right, it's all relative. Let's look at another example here in DraftKings, all right? Once again, 4 bars. Most traders would say, that's not enough information. I need to know what the earnings are. I need to know what the support and resistance is. I need to know what that guy says in the trading room. Remember, those are all decisions based off of what someone or something else is telling you. At Pro Trader Strategies and Specialist Trading, we want to put the power in your hands so that you make the decision. Now, since the PTS-XT is based on market behavior, based on what you're looking at, it's basically the signal is coming from the market, not from some guy in a trade room. And if you applied it, you would have seen this was a bar count of 1 right here on the scan. So you could have made the decision to buy some puts, maybe short the stock if you wanted to, but you wanted to sell based on this bar. And look what happened. Coming into the end of last month, 17 points to the downside. Pretty extreme trend to the downside. Here's another example in CAT, Caterpillar Tractor, Caterpillar Industries. Once again, a bar count of 1, you would be buying based off this bar. This was at the end of the last month, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. 20 points coming into last week. Not a bad little trade, right? As we look at Netflix, this was just last week on the 4th, last Tuesday, about 7 days ago, okay? It was the first red block around a bar on the 4th of January. You could have sold on the close, maybe bought some puts because we realize this is an expensive $600 stock, or shorted the stock, it's up to you, or did some type of a spread with a negative bias. Either way, you didn't want to be buying this. Maybe some guy in a chat room says, oh, it's making a pullback. Oh, this is a great buy. You got to buy at lower prices. Well, how would that have worked when the stock fell 50 points in just 3 days? That would have been a nice little trade, a 3-day trade if you wanted. That was in Netflix. As we look at BRK.B, we see we have a buy signal right here towards the end of last month, about 3 weeks ago. Stock went up 25 points coming into last Friday, okay? This is last week. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, well, Steve, you know, this is what most new students say. Steve, when news comes out, though, I mean, I've always got killed on the news. If that system I bought said to buy and then bad news comes out and I lose about 20 points based off the bad news, or it says to go short and I short it and then good news comes out and I lose about 20 points. So, you know, when news comes out, we're really at risk. Well, sure. I mean, nothing's ever 100% guaranteed. But since the PTS-XT is based off market behavior, and I feel, and what I've learned in my 45 years is that the market is always telling you what it wants to do. We just have to learn how to listen to it. Since it's always telling me what it wants to do many times, it's been my experience that when a news event comes out, our tools, our techniques, and our methods are already on the right side of the news. For example, this came out roughly about 3 weeks ago in Cerner. Cerner gains on report Oracle in talks to acquire for $30 billion, okay? So Oracle, ORCL, is said to be in discussions to purchase medical records company Cerner, or CERN. Cerner has been the subject of takeover speculation this year after a Betterville report in May said that the company may be a potential target. Now, off that news, the price of Cerner jumped 14%, okay, based off news. This is where people say, Steve, you know, what if I got a sell signal and this thing goes up 14%? I'm going to get killed, right? Well, sure, it's not guaranteed that every signal is going to be a fantastic winner. But let's look at the date here, December 17th, all right? Just about 2 or 3 weeks ago. as we look at the chart, here's the date that news came out. Now, here's what happens mostly with traders. They say to themselves, well, Steve, some guy told me this was overbought. I sold it, and then I had to cover and go long or cover, and I missed a big move here, and I lost a lot of money in a couple of days. Or another trader will say, well, Steve, this is good news. It's going to get bought out, so I'll buy it here. And wow, you could have made maybe 3 points, okay? Thinking that it's actually going to go higher and there's going to be another buyout rumor. Well, what you want to do, though, is buy somewhere down here, right? Before the news came out. Not sell, but buy. If we apply the PTS-XT, isn't it amazing how the first bar generated a buy setup 3 days in advance of that news? Now remember, this is not based on anything fundamental. The CEO of the company didn't call me up and tell me to generate a buy signal here so that my students could take advantage of these buyout rumors. No one looked at anything fundamental. No one looked at any earnings. No one looked at any buyout rumors. Everything is based on market behavior. So how did we know 3 days in advance to go long? Why? Because the market always tells you what it wants to do. So if you're frightened about trading ahead of news, that's fine. But remember, we're just trying to share with you things that have shown high levels of consistency. Now, if you bought on that day, guess what? You could have made 16 points instead of maybe thinking there was a better buyout and maybe made 3 points. All right, here's the first chart we looked at in the opening of the presentation, CROX, okay? Now remember, we could have taken advantage of this nice upward move here and then taken advantage of the nice downward move. How would we do that? Simply apply the PTS-XT. Could have gotten here and potentially captured 27 points. Once we're out of the PTS-XT, don't trade and then wait for another signal and potentially captured 42 points. Almost altogether, if you traded both of these, you could have potentially captured close to 70 points. Now, I know a lot of you say, well, yeah, Steve, in order to do that, I would have had to enter on the first day and exit at the very high, and then go short right here on the first day and exit somewhere around the very low. Remember, these numbers are just potentially what you could have captured. Let's say you only captured half of that, all right? In a couple of months, you instead of capturing 70 points, you captured 33 or 35 points. Would you be happy with that? Let's say you only captured a third of what was available. All right, maybe only 22, 23 points. Would you be happy with that in a couple of months? You see, the possibilities are all there. There's still, even if you don't get in at the bottom or out at the top, you can take advantage of these extreme moves and still capture significant amount of points. Let's look at SBNY, okay? This was just a couple of weeks ago. A buy signal was generated just off the first block here, all right? You could have purchased on this day, the 23rd, coming into last Friday, 50 points to the upside, okay? These are actual trades that actually happened that a lot of our students took advantage of that already have the PTS-XT availability. And then lastly, if the market goes into a downtrend, no one knows yet. No, I don't know. No one knows if we're going to go into a sustained downward market. Eventually it'll happen. Could be next month. It could be next decade. No one knows. But if it does, the PTS-XT will be right there because it'll capture those extreme down moves. As we look here in SE, okay, this was mid-November coming into last month. A sell signal was generated, 113 points to the downside in just about a month, okay? So you could potentially capture that. Let's say you only captured half of that. Okay, 50 points. That's still not a bad little trade, right? Could have purchased puts or however you'd like to trade it. Now, I know a lot of you don't trade stocks. So just to show that this can be applied to any market and any time frame, let's look at some older charts here in other markets just for educational purposes. For example, here's a 10-minute chart of the E-mini futures, all right? Potentially, you could have captured 20 points to the downside. When you exit the red block, don't trade and wait for a yellow block and potentially captured 60 points. That's roughly 80 points you could have potentially captured in one day intraday trading the E-mini futures. How about forex traders? Here's a 4-hour chart of the Swiss franc, okay? What a lot of traders do is they'll only trade within the block. So you could have potentially made 100 pips here in about 3 or 4 days and avoid trading once you leave the block. And lastly, we have a number of traders who like to trade commodities. And this works very well because commodities trend sometimes better than stocks do. Here's an older chart of bean oil, all right? Soybean oil, all right? Same process. Nothing changes because we change time frames or we change markets. It's the same yellow block for buy setups, the same red block for sell setups. And just using one way in which to enter, that would be entering off of the first price bar in the yellow block, potentially captured 15 points. That's roughly, that's thousands of dollars, I think, or tens of thousands of dollars trading bean oil. Okay, so let's review what we talked about today. Remember, there's a simple three-step process to capturing these big moves. That is, you want to conduct a nightly PTS-XT scan. Select stocks with a bar count of 1. Obviously, if you're trading futures or forex, whatever market you're trading, just select the market with you're trading with a bar count of 1. What that means is the yellow or red block has only been there for 1 day or for 1 bar. If it's going to take off, if it's going to be an extreme move, looking back, that's the one you wanted to get in on. And then lastly, decide to trade or not. It's your decision. We're never going to tell you to take the trade. We're never going to tell you where to enter. We're never going to tell you where to exit the way so many other websites do. We don't believe in that. We're just simply providing you with this information so that you can make your own trading decisions. This is what, once again, a mentor does. As we said earlier, it's a gambler's mindset to try and pick tops and bottoms. It would be my suggestion to never try and do that, because ultimately you may get some really good trades every once in a while, but it's been my experience that over time, they'll give it all back because it's almost impossible to consistently pick tops and bottoms. Therefore, try and be a professional. Why? Because it's a professional's mindset to trade with the trend. And one of the best tools I know with trading with the trend is the PTS-XT. So ask yourself, do you think this indicator can help your trading in 2022? We know that everyone starts off a new year with all these hopes and dreams of this being your best year ever. Maybe taking that dream vacation with your spouse, maybe having a little extra income each month, or maybe having an addition onto your home. Do you think this could help you for 2022? I think most likely your answer is yes. So if you're interested, we have a great special offer for all the attendees today. We're going to offer you the PTS-XT. This is our tool for trading in the express lane, because you literally are in the express lane. It's like if you've ever traveled on the freeway at rush hour, you're basically stuck moving 2 miles an hour and moving an inch at a time. But trading with the PTS-XT allows you to be in the express lane, where price is just extremely moving either up or down. Now, we're not going to stop here by giving you the PTS-XT. We're also going to throw in an extra bonus. We're going to give you a full year of the PTS Primo charting platform. This is for new customers, all right? So you can actually do the scanning process. And remember, this process I shared with you today is just one of the ways, but in my opinion, it probably has the most potential for being consistent. There are a number of other ways to trade the PTS-XT without the PTS Primo charts, but in my opinion, this is the simplest and most powerful way to trade it. And you'll need the PTS Primo charting platform in order to do that. So we're going to throw in a full year. That's nearly $2,000 worth of info and things I've accumulated. And it's not just going to be the PTS-XT on the platform and that's it. You'll get a host of other things that you won't find anywhere else on any other platform, because these are all techniques and methods that I took from my own 45 years of trading experience, and many of them from the stock exchange floor where I first started out. Things like our enhanced buy-sell line for finding out the overall trend. A strength of trend tool that I developed with Pro Trader Strategies that has a really great ability to figure out when you're topping or bottoming out. So this will help you with your exits, okay? Auto-generated exit levels as well. This is just one of our different exit techniques, auto-generated on the platform. Over 90 other technical indicators that you can apply to your trading and personalized tech support. But remember, this tool I taught you today, this process, comes also with the signal scanner. So you're going to get that as well using the PTS Primo charting platform. So this is like trading with your own mentor sitting right there next to you. I would love to be there and teaching you, but if we can't, the second next best thing is to be trading with the PTS Primo charting platform. So let's break this down, okay? You're going to get a full year of the platform along with the PTS-XT Extreme Trend. This is our special offer. Now, normally, just the course itself, not with the platform, would roughly cost you $5,000. Here's the great offer we have for you today. We're going to slash that price tremendously. We're only going to charge a one-time fee, one-time payment of $497, less than $500, and then a small monthly payment of $97. That's it. I mean, think of it. A $5,000 course you can get for less than $500, a one-time payment, and just a small monthly fee. Now, if you'd like to buy it outright, we're going to slash the price. We're going to take 10% off. You're going to say $500. We'll drop the price to pay in full for $44.95. So you still don't have to pay $49.95. Remember, this comes with 1 year of the free platform. That's like adding on an extra $2,000. So roughly it would cost you close to $7,000 for all of this. But for less than $500, you can be up and running as early as today. Take your trading to the next level with the original PTS-XT Extreme Trend Indicator. Since we introduced this a few years ago, there have been a host of copycat indicators on the internet that I've seen, and none of them match the power and the versatility as well as the simplicity of the PTS-XT. But here's the good news. It really doesn't matter so much that someone's trying to copy the formula. As I said earlier, the beauty of this course is that you will be taught by someone who has been using this for decades and applies it to his own personal trading. And so it knows you how to apply it. So that's what you're really learning in the course. And you're going to get different ways, different variations how to trade it, different exits, different entries, and different stop placements, kind of a buffet or smorgasbord of all the choices you can make so that you can once again be in charge. Here's how to take advantage of this great offer. Contact my sister site, Pro Trader Strategies. I developed a platform with them. They have great tech support. They also have trading consultants manning the phones right now. You can call them directly at 310-598-6677. They would be more than happy to take your order on the phone, or even just to answer, I should say, any questions that you may ask. There's absolutely no obligation. If you want to set up a payment plan or just get a quote for a payment plan, they would be more than happy to give you a quote and answer questions so that you can think about it. So there's no hesitancy. Don't worry that someone's going to try and oversell you something. Simply give them a call. They'd be more than happy to give you information about pricing, about tech support, or anything else, any other of our many techniques or methods that we have at Pro Trader Strategies, okay? Now that link you see at the very bottom is the link that will take you to the info page, and you can sign up online if you're interested as well. It's not a live link, but we've just posted a live link in the chat box. So if you go to the chat box there, click on chat, you'll see at the very bottom, there was a live link posted. That's the same thing you'll see in front of you on the screen, but it's live. Just click that on and we'll take you to the info page, okay? Now, I told you I would reserve the end portion for any questions. If you have any questions, kindly go to the chat box, type them in. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. And I see someone is asking right here, they must have asked this before I showed that those last couple of slides. Can we apply these to other markets? Yes. I showed you examples in the E-mini, a 10-minute chart. I also showed a 4-hour chart, I believe, of the Swiss franc, and I showed some commodity charts. So yes, it makes no difference. We have students trading this with forex. We have students trading this even with Bitcoin. So if you're not a stock trader, don't feel as if you have to only apply this to stocks. Wherever there is an extreme trend, the PTS-XT will find it. And so that's what you're really applying this for. That's why you're trading with it. It doesn't matter, the PTS doesn't know if it's looking at a stock or if it's looking at soybean oil or soybean meal. It makes no difference. It just knows that a strong trend is taking place, okay? Will I be teaching the course? Yes, well, I have taught the course. What the course is, the information, it's since when we first presented this roughly about 2 years ago, it was a live class where we had roughly about 20 or 30 students in the course. But this is a video of that I've recorded, and there's a lot of new examples as well. But you'll also get my personal email address. So if you'd like to contact me right now, you can contact me whenever you'd like. So once you become a student of mine, you're a student of mine for life, or as long as I'm trading, you can always email me with any questions. So the video you will be getting is a recorded version of our original class, but you will still be able to contact me currently through my email address. So it's not like we're just throwing you to the wolves and saying, good luck with this. There's no correspondence. You can always correspond to me whenever you like. I can check your work. If you have a question, many times students will send me chart examples and say, hey, Steve, would this have been the right way to enter or exit? And so I'll show them the different variables. So yes, I'll be there with you every step of the way. It's not like you've bought courses in the past where they charge you the world and then you never hear from them again. Or when you do try to contact them, you're speaking to a assistant or you're talking to an intern. Everything goes directly to me and no one else, okay? Let's see, good questions. Lastly, I know someone asked that before. I guess those are all the questions. I guess all we can say is I would really strongly suggest that if you're interested in any way in improving your trading and taking it to the next level, there's no obligation. Just give Pro Trader Strategies a call. They can answer questions concerning pricing. And once again, if you're interested in getting a quote on the payment, or if you'd like to get another quote, say you'd like to put a little bit more down, they can give you a quote for that. It's all up to you. But for less than $500, you can still get started and be up and running as early as today, okay? Just call 310-598-6677. If there are no further questions, all I can just say is, as we look at one last time at our disclaimer, I hope you learned something today. I hope you learned a little bit about our trading philosophy and how we really, truly want to educate you. It's our sincere hope to educate you so that you can become a consistent trader. As I always say, there is enough for everyone to go around. That's why we share all these different things that I've accumulated in 45 years. So hopefully you'll be able to become a student of mine in this course and take your trading to the next level and become a consistent trader for the very first time. Thank you so much for attending today's class. I wish you the best of luck and hope to see you in the PTS-XT course. Thanks again. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.